And we're live. Hello, everybody. Justin Thomas James here with another cold read, this time of Riftside Book 2 by Cassius Lang and Henrik Sater. Say hello in the chat. I'm going to be kind of paying attention to my comments today because it is the inaugural stream of Book 2. Yeah, say hello. I'd love to know who's watching. Did you come to LitRPG Con? Were you there? If you were there, then you probably saw me. And hopefully you said hello. It was so fantastic getting to meet everybody there and talk about what series fans are into, what people are listening to. It was absolutely a blast. You guys are awesome. So thank you for being there if you were there. And if not, I hope to see you next year. July 10th through 12th, 2026. It's happening. It's happening. Good morning, Kimberly. Good morning, Andre Oberholzer. It's a very German name sounding. The E accent aigu is throwing me off. Henri Oberholzer. Maybe French? Maybe North French? All right. Well, let me see if there's anything else that I need before I get started. I've got my script. Do I have my script? I do not have my script. I was not prepared. My goodness. All right, let's pull that up. Script, Riftside 2. Editors. Nope, not that. Manuscripts. There we go. It is German. Well, we want to open this in the desktop app so that I can keep chatting with you lovely people. You're from South Africa. Oh, right on. South Africa. Cool. Okay, enable content. Close this. There we go. Hide these. Stretch that out. There we go. That's looking pretty good. And then Ableton there. And there we go. I guess I can adjust this a little bit. Bring this up a bit so it's less. There's less empty space. Cool. Okay. You listened to book 1 already. Henri. And Kimberly. You were just in SA. Cape Town for a week. South Africa, Cape Town for a week, and it was amazing. Oh, nice. That's awesome. I've never been to Africa, actually. I've never been. I want to go. I want to take one of those tests. My dad is many generations American and African American, and we don't know what part of Africa our ancestors came from. So I do want to take one of those African ancestry tests that's like specialized in African bloodlines, and I want to go there wherever the number one place is. I have a guess. My guess is Senegal. I don't know why. Well, I kind of know why. I met somebody from Senegal who's a great musician and storyteller, and my dad's a great musician and storyteller. And then this guy also looked a lot like my dad. It was uncanny how similar the features were. So I just was like, Senegal. That's my guess. West Africa. All right, let's hide this ribbon. Show tabs. There we go. Okay, here we go. Getting ready to start. Okay, 10 minutes in. That's what we want. Add locator 1. I should probably get to chapter 1. I believe there is a... Okay, so there's like an intro, and then there is a prologue. Okay, so chapter 1 doesn't start until maybe like 30-minute mark. Yeah, somewhere around here. All right, and then the intro. What's it called? Intro. You listen to this series while you game. Oh, nice. What game are you playing right now? Or whilst driving. Nice. Yeah, I like this series because it has like a cozy element to it. It really feels like there's a game called Moonlighter that I really love. That during the day you are running a shop, and then at night you go out and you hunt monsters and you get ingredients that you sell in your shop, and it's like very back and forth. This feels like it, but it's like a town building. You go on like expeditions. You pick up a bunch of like monsters, corpses. You bring them back. You have them broken down into parts. And there's sort of that repetition there, which, and changing and raising the stakes every time they go out. But I like that. Project Ascension. I'm not familiar with that one. Maybe to see it. Okay, here we go. I got to get into character. Time to get into character. Okay, let us see here. What? Well, let me make sure my keys are all set up. Oh, no, they are not. Okay, I'm gonna do that. Not. That. Maybe that for the system. Okay, and then the hive mind. I can do that. Classless WoW. Oh, right on. Cool. Oops, that's too fast. Hark, mortals, and attend. Hark, mortals, and attend. Hark, mortals, and attend. Hark, mortals, and attend. Okay, I have to get into character, and it is going not well right now. Just this first line, I think it's going to be tricky for me to get it right. But let me try. Turn down my... There we go. Hark, mortals, and... Hark, mortals! Hark, mortals, and attend. It is I, Vanash Kazish, though the piped... It is I, Vanash Kazish, though the biped Ash insists on the rather pedestrian moniker Rock. I am here to illustrate. I am here to illuminate the path you've thus far... I am here to illuminate the path you've thus far trod, lest your feeble human memories fail you. Our tale, or rather my tale, featuring Ash Aldrich as a surprisingly resilient ancillary component.
How do I say that word? How do I say that word?
Ah, okay. Our tale, or rather my... Our tale, or rather my tale, featuring Ash Aldrich as a surprisingly... Our tale,
or rather, my tale featuring Ash Aldrich as a surprisingly resilient ancillary component, began when I let him defeat my previous form of the Woodweaver in the Hive Mind's Twisted Titan dungeon. I totally could have had him, but I wanted out of there. I totally could have had him, but I wanted out of there. It stank. Anyway, he took me through the Branchway Rift and to Dunwatch, a frontier town on the world of Noros in the kingdom of Thurangia.
Let's get that pronunciation. Thurangia. Uh-huh.
Anyway, he took me through the Branchway Rift and to Dunwatch, a frontier town on the world of Noros in the kingdom of Thurangia. And he says, Anyway, he took me through the Branchway Rift and to Dunwatch, a frontier town on the world. Anyway, he took me through the Branchway Rift and to Dunwatch, a frontier town on the world of Noros in the kingdom of Thurangia. Thurangia. And he says Vanash is hard to pronounce? Duh. Anyway, Ash is a blacksmith's apprentice with decent ambition. Anyway, Ash is a blacksmith's apprentice with decent ambition and so sense, and lives with his adoptive kin, Thomas and Helena, also known as Ma and Pa, because of Ash's troubled relationship with names. He found a soul gem in my carcass, because of course he did. My soul is the best, and everyone knows it. Instead of squandering this... My soul is the best, and everyone knows it. Instead of squandering this newfound wealth on trinkets, Ash and Pa made the wisest choice in their short lives, deciding to forge me. Our meeting was glorious, and he immediately understood he had a superior being living in his mind, and decided to follow my every instruction. Together with a nice-smelling healer in training, Aaron Whitcroft, and a huge beer-drinking... Together with a nice-smelling healer in training, Aaron Whitcroft, and a huge beer drinker called Canute Coinshield Steelwall, we started slaying monsters and taking names and bringing their delicious carcasses back to Pa, where we reforged their pieces into wonders this world has never before seen. At least I think it hasn't. My memory is a bit spotty. What is known, at least to us, is that my innate ability to sense mind gems are one of a kind, because how could it not be? And my glorious combat transformations, which I'll admit I don't actually know how to trigger, and my sheer destructive capabilities elevated Ash from a scavenger to a new type of adventurer. I forged him into a Hammer Lord. Are you clapping? You should definitely be standing and clapping. Anyway, on the way, we also acquired other... allies? Friends with combat benefits? Future foes? The designation escapes me. But we have the occasionally competent fire mage Nabia, Edwin, the commander of Dunwatch, Harold, local adventuring guild leader that surprisingly big crossbow for his size, Wade, and let's not forget about Benedict, the ice bastard. Or, actually, let's just forget about him and his cowardice, running away and causing Marcus the Scavenger to die. It did lead us to saving Johann and getting free drinks at the Timberline for life, which is nice. Of course, such rising prominence attracted the vermin. The noble house Domitius, led by the petulant Earl, attempted thuggery to claim the smithy. They cited a loan Pa had taken with them as cause. It was all rift rot, as they'd never failed a payment. Didn't stop Ivan, their chief thug, from trying to take it by force and even burning it down, us included. Ash handled it with a surprising, for him, degree of frontier ruthlessness, killing Ivan, he tasted yummy, and banishing the others to head into the unexplored parts of the rift to die. I still haven't forgiven him fully for not letting me consume their essence, but that is a story for another time. Perhaps when I'm soaked in pie and milk. Wait, did I say that out loud? Just forget about that part. After we hunted a few more monsters, including a sparky kitty called Arclight who was rude and, quite frankly, useless and inferior, and then we went back into the And then we went back into the Twisted Titan with Edwin, seeking to destroy a breeding chamber, buying time for Sentinel Station to be reinforced and improved upon. It was a spectacular success, thanks mostly to me, and we killed and slayed and feasted so much that I reached level 9, and my breakthrough, and now I am stuck! That is the current major problem that needs to be fixed as soon as possible. Ash has gone from a scavenger to Hammerlord. Aaron is nearly at breakthrough, Knut is tanky, and Nabia has joined the party. Pa and Ma are making gear and money. Ash has gone from a scavenger to a Hammerlord. Aaron is nearly at breakthrough, Knut is tanky, and Nabia has joined the party. Pa and Ma are making gear and money, but me? Well, I did get a new satin pillow, which was nice. But then I found out Ash has been leeching experience from me now that I am stuck at my breakthrough, and I feel that everything I ever knew has been a lie. Why? Why? Why would life hurt me so much that I must suffer through? Yes. We met the hive mind. And decided to let it live. For now. It showed me a few memories of my previous life, which I am certain was completely glorious too. Though it was only a few tiny heartbeats. It's not that important, really. What matters is that Ash takes immediate action to find out how to solve my breakthrough. That, and get me a blueberry pie and a pitcher of milk. There! I said it! Summarizing things for lesser beings is thirsty work. So, read on and make it snappy. Get to the killing parts. My steel husk aches for blood.
Oh, excuse me. Sound Booth Theater presents Riftside 2 by Henrik Sader and Cassius Lang. Narrated by Justin Thomas James. Featuring Jessica Threet as Erin, Ma, and the rest of the female cast. And Jeff Hayes as Knut. I'm going to make a note for myself here. a new production. This is called Riftside 2. Make this into a note. All right. Okay. All right. Prologue. Okay, and let me just check in, see how we're doing. Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad you like rock.
This is what rock sounds like.
Sometimes it's a bit much for my voice. It takes a little time for me to get kind of acclimated to it. All right, here we go. Prologue. Rage pulsed through the mass. Fury. Indignation. The breeding chamber had been filled with thousands of costly eggs. The breeding chamber had been filled with thousands of costly eggs, the result of countless resources and hours spent breeding, nourishing, and watching over them. It all lay in ruins now. Nothing but charred remains and goo littered. Nothing but charred remains and goo littered the floor, the contents spilled uselessly across blackened wood. The offensive stench of burned biomass hung in the air, and it bothered the creature. The offensive stench of burned biomass hung in the air, and it bothered the creature more than it wanted to admit. The hive mind's physical form trembled, black veins pulsing beneath bark-like armor. Its massive root limbs dug into the chamber floor with each step, seeking stability as anger pushed against coherent thoughts. Fragment. Do I have a voice for hive mind? I don't have a voice for hive mind. I might have to just check out what the hive mind sounds like very quickly. Just pop out here. Riftside Book 1. Ready for polish. Let's do a quick check. Quick check. There it is. There we go. Fragment had been here. So close, within grasp, then it was just gone.
Unacceptable!
Hive mind thought. The hive mind's voice boomed through the chamber, its 1,000 voices speaking as one and echoing off the dead walls. Waves of psychic force rippled outward, causing lesser minions to cower in dark corners and bark peeled off the dungeons. Waves of psychic force rippled outward, causing lesser minions to cower in dark corners, and bark peeled off the dungeon's insides.
Fragment returns to mass. Natural order. Why resistance? Why failure?
The hive mind stomped, and debris fell from the ceiling, raining over its tree-like body.
Humans are weak, fragile, temporary. Why do they resist? How do I destroy? They keep fragment from becoming wholeness.
Another slam, and more tremors passed through the twisted Titan dungeon.
Fragment here, within reach, offered unity. Fragment here, within reach, offered unity, offered power. Fragment refused, it dared!
The emerald core embedded in the hive mind's chest pulsed, casting its nurturing green light across the devastation. Deep in its core, it still sensed the fragment. Vanash, moving away, carried by the human shell. It hated every moment of the ordeal. Distance growing, connection weakening. A skittering sound drew the hive mind's attention. Ganache entered the chamber with erratic, twitching motions. Muscles rippled beneath its patchy fur. The rat creature stood as tall as the now-dead trolls had, with bulging eyes that darted in all directions. Its oversized teeth nervously gnawed at nothing. Nash. Ganache. All right. I think I prefer Ganache.
Great, mighty mass. Terrible bad news about eggs. Great, mighty mass. Terrible bad news about eggs. Yes, yes.
Ganash's high-pitched voice echoed through the chamber as it scurried closer, tail gripped in its front paws.
All broken, smashed by tiny humans. Very sad, very bad.
The hive mind's attention shifted fully to the rat creature. Ganache had been a gift to make his life more bearable in this barbaric place. A former servant of another hive mind, useful as a scout, less useful for intelligent conversation. "Explain failure," the hive mind demanded.
Why humans not crushed? Why fragment not reclaimed? A simple task. Overwhelming numbers. Victory certain. Yet we lose.
Ganash's whiskers twitched as it considered the question, head tilting at an unnatural angle. Oh no, that should be hive mind that says that. Oops.
Why humans not crushed? Why fragment not reclaimed? Simple task. Overwhelming numbers. Victory certain, yet we lose.
Ganash's whiskers twitched as it considered the question, head tilting at an unnatural angle.
Maybe humans have secret pact with moons?
It suggested, gesturing upward with a clawed hand.
Moons, very powerful, yes, yes! Or maybe Fragment enjoys being Hammer now. Or maybe Fragment enjoys being Hammer now. New shape, new purpose.
The hive mind's core darkened with displeasure.
Oh!
Ganache bounced excitedly.
Maybe they eat too much cheese? Cheese makes creatures strong. Yes, very strengthening.
Rage surged through the collective consciousness. The hive mind lashed out, a root whipping across the chamber to slam into Ganache, sending the rat creature crashing into the wall.
Useless!
The hive mind hissed.
All servants useless. Creations all fail. Woodweaver failed. Arclight failed. All monsters failed.
Silence fell over the chamber. The hive mind's core pulsed slower. Collective had been certain of victory. It had calculated, planned, and then executed. It had drawn the humans in, made them bring Vanash. Then its own old minion attacked the hive mind. It shivered at the memory of the pain, the steel roots digging into it, seeking its mind core. Underestimated humans? Underestimated humans? Impossible. A groan. A groan echoed from the wall. A groan echoed from the... A groan. A groan. A groan echoed from the wall as Ganache stirred. Blood matted its fur. Blood matted its fur, but that was nothing for the morbid creature and its regenerative... Blood matted its fur, but that was nothing for the morbid creature and its regenerative abilities. The wounds were already sealing.
Apologies, mighty great one.
The oversized rat wheezed, limping forward, head bobbing.
Ganesh speaks foolishness, but Ganesh knows things, yes. Served other hive minds before. Older ones, lesser young ones. Ganesh speaks foolishness, but Ganesh knows things, yes. Served other hive minds before. Older ones, less younger ones, stronger ones, more cunning ones.
The hive mind's attention sharpened.
Other hive minds irrelevant. We are supreme. We are whole.
Nearly. Ganesh grinned, displaying too many teeth in its elongated jaw. It leaned forward conspiratorially, as if sharing a secret.
Other hive minds know. Other hive minds knew special tricks, unique minions. Not just many minions. Better minions.
It blinked.
Diggers, yes. Monsters to tunnel the human walls, collapse the steel husks. They succeed, got strong, and are now gone to other worlds. Diggers, yes. Monsters to tunnel the human walls, collapse the steel husks. They succeed, got strong, and are now gone to other worlds.
The rat creature pantomimed digging motions with its clawed hands.
And flyers! Silent, swift, strike from the sky! Strike from the sky!
It jumped, arms spread wide in imitation of wings.
Make strong minions cannibalize the weak, yes? Make bigger, better beasts!
It made chomping motions, drool dripping from its incisors. The hive mind considered these suggestions with reluctance. Learn from others? Impossible. The collective is complete, perfect. It needs no outside wisdom. We are the mass, it intoned. We are whole. We need not lesser wisdom. Ganesh tilted its head again. For a moment, the creature's twitching stilled, and it regarded the hive mind. For a moment, the creature's twitching stilled, and it regarded the hive mind with an infuriating look.
How does hive grow?
It asked quietly.
If hive does not learn.
The hive mind's core flickered as the collective processed. The collective processed the concept. Growth required adaptation. Evolution demanded change. To become more, must we acknowledge what we are not? The first human attack on its home had been a shock. Maybe it had sent Woodweaver too early, and maybe it had deployed Arclight before it reached full potential. Had it been scattering lesser minions without strategy, without purpose, beyond sending numbers? Mistakes. Inefficiencies. Mistakes?
inefficiencies, perhaps failures.
Speak more, the hive mind said, and regarded the rat with a dangerous curiosity. Ganash's face split into a delighted grin. It scampered closer, emboldened.
First,
Choked on my spit there.
First, must understand human weaknesses. Not just smash, crush, but must be clever, smart.
It tapped its misshapen head.
Humans have walls. Yes, but humans have greed. They not stay inside walls.
The hive mind's core brightened as it processed these insights. We kill. We kill the strong humans, make their hive weak.
Yes!
Ganache chittered excitedly.
And must make better minions. Not waste essence and gems on weak ones. Make few but stronger. Specialized for killing.
The hive mind need some... Oh, this voice is a bit rough. The hive mind extended its awareness through the chamber, through the chamber, through the tunnels, and finally through the entire dungeon. It sensed the humans fleeing back across its territory. There was still much raw biomass waiting to be shaped, and more grew in its territory every day. Resources, materials, potential. We'll breed new forms, it declared. Stronger, smarter. It sent commands rippling through the dungeon, reshaping priorities and redirecting energies. In dark corners, pods began to form, containing new designs, new adaptations. It would take time to replace what the humans had destroyed, but if there was one thing the hive mind had, it was time. But if there was one thing the hive mind had, it was time.
No weaklings, the strong rise.
Throughout the dungeon, minions threw themselves at one another, ripping and tearing and clawing and biting, gobbling up the pieces they could. Fallen essence flowed back to the central mass to be redistributed to those more worthy.
Strike, push where they do not expect. Destroy, kill, wooden base,
Ganache said. In a separate breeding chamber, egg sacs changed, adapting to the hive's new commands. Limbs for digging dirt, membranes for flight, reinforced skeletons for mighty heights, all envisioned and put into production. The hive mind's core pulsed brighter, its rage cold and focused. Making these changes would take a lot of time, but it would be worth it. After all, no one escaped the collective, not even the hammer fragment. It turned its attention upward, beyond the chamber ceiling, beyond the dungeon itself, toward the distant presence of the fragment of Vanash. Fragment will return. We will be whole. That is promise. Before larger minds check. Ganache chittered excitedly, bouncing from foot to foot. We'll force Vanash to devour. We'll force Vanash to devour human pet, the hive mind concluded, satisfaction flowing through its mass. This time, This time the humans would fall. The fragment would return, and when this world joined the mass, the hive mind would move on to larger. And when this world joined the mass, the hive mind would move on to the larger conflicts, as it was meant to be. And when this world joined the mass, the hive mind would move on to the larger conflicts. And when this world joined the mass, the hive mind would move on to the larger conflicts. And when this world joined the mass, the hive mind would move on to the larger conflicts, as it was meant to be. As it was meant to be. All right, there we go. We've got the prologue. And all right, chapter 1. On to chapter 1. How's everybody doing so far? What do we got? A few people watching. Dirk Gently, hello. Hello, Amanda Pepper. Good to see you. Welcome. Thank you for being here. If you haven't already checked it out, Riftside 1 is available on Audible. It features myself, Jessica Threet, Jeff Hayes, and Cookie Monster.
Hello, I am Venaj Kazish, and I sound like this, and I want to eat blood instead of cookies.
Yeah, pretty much like that. It'd be cool to have a puppet of Cookie Monster. Good, it's sounding good so far? Well, it's good to see you, Amanda. Good to see you. Oh, sounds very good. You didn't know I was Cookie Monster?
I am Cookie Monster in this one, but it's not actually Cookie Monster. In fact, probably I should stop saying Cookie Monster in case Sesame Street gets wind of this video and says, you probably should not be comparing this bloodthirsty hammer to our beloved children's entertainment character, Cookie Monster.
But alas, my subconscious did a thing, and it made me Cookie Monster for this. Yeah, Cookie Monster the cannibal.
I eat souls. Delicious souls. I love to smash people's heads in. Yummy.
All right, gotta have some more tea here. Chapter 1. I squinted at the parchment in my hands, reading over the purchasing agreement for what felt like the 10th time. Maybe it was the excitement, or even the exhaustion of the last 2 weeks leading up to the dungeon run and the 2 days of hard work since, but the letters just kept evading me. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across the newly constructed house, our house, as Madeline waited patiently, her broad frame blocking half the light. Everything's in order, I guess. Everything's in order, I guess, I said, looking up at the guild official. Just making sure there aren't any hidden clauses about mandatory suicide missions and stuff. Would hate to get eaten now that we have this place. Would hate to get eaten now that we got this place to ourselves. Madeline laughed. Madeline. As Madeline waited patiently, her broad frame blocking half the light. All right. Oh, Madeline laughed, the sound booming across the second ring road. She was built like Canute, all muscle and presence, but with a warmth that made her instantly likable. The only hidden clause is that you bring some glory to Dawnwatch, she said, tapping the parchment with one thick finger. This is prime real estate, adventurer. Second ring road and on the main street leading past the guild hall and near to the rift. Was planned to house visiting dignitaries. And you're selling it to us? Aaron said, stepping closer to my side. How'd you get so lucky? Not that I mind the trade of all this versus nearly our entire share of this Titanfang carcass, but, it's just unreal, is all. Madeline glanced between Aaron and me. 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 Let's just say Commander Edwin put in a good word, and Harold sees potential in your little group. Her gaze lingered on Aaron. Even if one of you is technically still a scavenger, she won't be for too long. She won't be for long. She won't be for long, I said, perhaps a bit too quickly. I'm sure, Madeline said, smiling. In the meantime, I wish you the best of luck with the house. Canute came circling from behind the building for the third time, his heavy footsteps crunching on the gravel path. Oh, okay, we haven't cast Canute as Jeff yet. Let's make Canute Jeff. There he is. Hopefully he doesn't have as much dialogue as Book 1, but we're going to find out. Yes, try to use my diaphragm. Indeed, that is good advice. Okay, 550 lines, not too bad. 3,000 words. Yeah, I think that's probably within range of what he'd want to be doing. And Jessica, data, let's filter, let's organize these. That's annoying. Okay. Yes. Oh, this is so annoying. Excel giving me some heck. Okay, did it. Wall's weak, he grumbled. Not like northern logs. It's made of steel husk, I said. It's twice as tough as any northern house. Canute grunted. If not the falling roof wake me up, I come to Guildhall for giant carcass. Had grunt. The walls are sturdy enough, Madeline assured him. Monster-resistant, as is the roof. Madeline. Oh, shoot, what did I do? Oh, nice. Already made that call. Monster-resistant, as is the roof. Ain't pretty or fancy inside, not yet anyway, but it won't fall down any time soon. Nabia, who had been inspecting the steel husk building with a critical eye, rejoined our little group. I've checked the fine print, she announced dramatically. By signing this, we agree to be guild slaves, right? Only on Thursdays. Only on Tuesdays, Madeline. Madeline replied without missing a beat. I chuckled and signed my name at the bottom of the parchment. It felt strange, almost significant to be signing as the official party leader. It felt strange, almost significant to be signing as the official party leader, purchasing a property for us, like I was taking responsibility not just for myself, but for all of us.
Finally! Finally! Finally!
Rock's voice boomed in my mind.
A proper home for a proper weapon, though I expect a place of honor, not some dusty corner. Perhaps a second velvet cushion on top of a pedestal? Something befitting my magnificence at the very least.
Congratulations, Madeline said, handing me a ring with heavy iron keys. These are yours now. Try not to burn it down. It'd be really hard to explain. She rolled up the parchment and tucked it into her satchel. And if you need anything, or you've got some money to spend on upgrades, you know where to find me. I'll be happy to help fix things while you're out hunting. As she walked away, I turned to face our new home again, and then my companions, my friends. Well, I said, tossing the keys to Aaron. Shall we? The door to our new house swung open with a satisfying creak, revealing a spacious main room. I had gotten so used to a multifunctional house with the smithy and the shop taking most of our space that so much open space felt strange. The wooden floor stood completely bare, and the smell of new construction hung in the air, sawdust, steel husk, and endless possibility. "Dibs on the biggest room!" Nabia called, already darting toward the stairs.
Wait!
Canute thundered after her.
Biggest room for me! I am biggest person!
I laughed, watching them race up the stairs like children. Erin's hand slipped into mine, warm and familiar. "Can you believe this?" she whispered. "Our own place."
Our place? Our place? Rock interjected. I don't recall your name on that parchment, though I suppose she'll be spending plenty of time here regardless, even though, as the giantess pointed out, she's not yet an adventurer.
And you know how much it frustrates. And you know how much it frustrates her, so be nice. Besides, we'll rectify that issue as soon as possible. Investing in her will allow you to kill more stuff. So isn't that a good thing? Aaron raised an eyebrow. What's he saying now? She'd gotten even better at knowing what was going on in my head, especially when it involved a murderous soul hammer trash-talking. Nothing important, I assured her. He wants another pillow and a pedestal so we can all worship him or something. Aaron chuckled and slapped my chest playfully. Let's make sure those two don't tear the place apart fighting over rooms. Coming? She said, pulling on my hand. Upstairs, she said, pulling on my hand. Upstairs, we found Canute standing in the doorway of what was clearly the master bedroom, his massive frame nearly filling the entire space. He was eyeing the room with obvious desire, but when he saw us, he stepped aside with exaggerated formality.
For a lady,
he said, gesturing Aaron inside.
Smaller room for me, like cave. Cozy.
Aaron's eyes widened. Oh, I couldn't.
You must, Canute insisted. Rash take, not good for head, grows too fast. You need space for, healing things, books, plants, girl things.
Nabia poked her head out from another doorway. Oh yes, turn it into a healing shrine, she teased. Maybe some crystals, wind chimes, a little altar of the spirits of wellness. I was thinking more like a bed and a dresser, Aaron replied dryly. And a heavy lock to ensure my virtue stays that. She said, Mine? I winked at her and left them to their good-natured bickering and wandered back downstairs. Knut's heavy footsteps following me. I didn't care which room I got. They were all wonderful. They were all wonderful in the fact that Ma and Pa wouldn't be sleeping in them, and the size difference was negligible. The main room had a large fireplace along one wall, currently cold and empty. I ran my hand along the rough stone mantel. It still needed some work, but I could see a certain hammer enjoying himself above the crackling fire. A good spot for rock, I murmured.
What?
Rock's indignation nearly made me wince.
You want to display me like some trophy? Some decoration? I am a weapon of mass destruction, not a conversation piece.
You'd be above the fireplace, place of honor. Besides, you literally just asked for a pedestal. If you didn't want it so we could display you, what did you want it for?
Well, when you put it that way.
Knut came to stand beside me, his eyes taking in the room. Strange, he said quietly. What's strange? This, he gestured around us. House, home, not sleeping in inn or tent. It will not be available on the SPT app, at least not at first. This is going straight to Audible. Book 1 is currently on Audible, and Book 2 will be following suit. But, at a certain point, eventually, if it makes sense for us to go wide with it, we'll definitely bring it to the Sound Booth app. Thanks for asking. A smile tugged at his lips. Good, strange. Like it. Finally call something home. With friends. I nodded. When did you last have a permanent home? Never. Not even as a kid? We hunted, roamed. Good life until not. Well, it's strange for me, too. Be in one place? To be without Ma and Pa. I've always been with either my birth parents or them. But now... Knut nodded and clapped me on the shoulder. They's safe. I know. It's still strange. It'll definitely take time to get used to. Mount Hammer higher, Knut said, nodding at the mantel. Less complaining.
I heard that!
Rock bellowed in my mind.
And I'll have you know my commentary is invaluable. Who else will point out when you're being idiots? Who else will remind you of the glory of combat when you're getting soft and domestic?
I think this height is perfect, I said, patting the mantel. Knut chuckled, the sound rumbling deep in his chest. Hammer talking? When isn't he? All right, here we go. By evening, we'd cleaned the place as best we could without proper supplies. The floors were swept, the windows wiped down, and we'd lit a small fire in the fireplace. With no furniture yet, we sat in a circle on the floor, the dancing flames casting long shadows across the walls. So, Nabia said, we need more money, fast, unless you all enjoy sleeping on the floor, eating on the floor, cooking on the floor, and, well, floor. We hunt tomorrow, Knut said. Shard fangs. Good practice, good money. And good materials, Erin added, leaning against my shoulder, her warmth a comfort in the cool evening air. Pa works wonders with those. What did you call them? Rock puppies? And we'll start saving for your class, Jem, I said. We won't have you staying a scavenger a second longer than necessary. Erin hugged me, and Knut nodded. Healer support make strong party. We kill. Pretty bird fix ouchies. Only cannot heal broken heart, eh? Erin punched Knut's shoulder lightly. I don't break hearts, Knut. Ash is safe with me, as long as he doesn't cheat on me with some wench. Other than that, I'm just fine. Having a healer will make us rich, too, Nabia added. We can take on tougher monsters, higher-level quests, and more risk. It's worth the investment. Oops. It's worth the investment. But I'm getting a bed first. I slept on the ground enough making my way here. I pulled up my soul chart, reveling in how far I'd come, and the joy of having an actual adventuring party. Let me double-check the system. Voice reference system. There it is. Name, Ash Aldrich. Class, Hammerlord. Level, 10, 4 out of 11. Strength, 41. Agility, 22. Vitality, 31. Mind, 18. Total stats, 112. Mana, 45 out of 45. Abilities. 1. Name, Hammer Mastery. Abilities. Abilities. Hammer Mastery. Type Passive. Hammers deal 15% increased damage. Other weapons deal 25% reduced damage. Stagger. Type Passive. Hammers have a 10% chance to stagger targets on a successful hit, slowing their target's movement speed for 30 seconds and lowering defense parameters by 10%. Note, each stack reduces chance by 2%. Smash. Type Active Attack. Channel energy into your hammer, causing it to deal extra damage on hit. Note, every activation costs 10 mana.
Four out of 11?
Rock's voice was
4 out of 11?
Rock's voice was sharp with frustration.
It is so frustrating. Are you even trying to help me with my breakthrough? Maybe you're the problem. Did you ever think of that? Maybe another wielder would have figured this out by now. Maybe you're just not good enough to help me evolve.
I barely managed to restrain my sigh at Rock's habitual complaint. Over the last 2 days since the dungeon raid, he'd barely shut up about the experience leeching, as he called it. That's not fair, and you know it. We're both stuck with this. I'm doing everything I can, and you acting like a prima donna doesn't help things, Rock.
Are you really? Are you too busy playing? Are you really? Or are you too busy playing house? Maybe Edwin knows something he's not telling us. Maybe he's laughing at us right now, watching us struggle while he keeps the secret to himself.
I'll corner him one of these days. You know I want this as much as you do.
I'm not sure you do. The longer I stay stuck, the more powerful you'll become, leeching my experience.
Rock, that's enough. We'll figure this out together. You keep it up and I will. We'll figure this out together. You keep it up and I will just keep hammering stuff until I'm level 20 and we can deal with it then. His resentment lingered in my mind, a bitter undercurrent that was becoming all too familiar. He'd barely shut up about being stuck since we got out of the dungeon, me being unable to find a single hint without... Me being unable to find a single hint about soul weapons or how to level them, and Edwin dodging me at every opportunity hadn't helped. A knock at the door interrupted our chat.
Who?
Canute bellowed as I rose to my feet.
Housewarming gift?
Came the call. It was a voice familiar to all of us by now, even for Nabia.
Johann!
Aaron said, bouncing up and rushing past me and throwing the door wide open. Johann stood on our doorstep, a large basket in his arms and a wide grin on his face. Steam rose from whatever was inside, carrying the mouth-watering scent of roasted meat and fresh bread. He pushed the basket into Aaron's arms.
Can't have the future heroes of Noros going hungry on their first night, and can't have the future heroes of Noros going hungry on their first night in their new home. Is that Johann's voice? He's a bit like Hank Hill. Oh, can't have the future heroes of Noros going hungry on their first night in their new home. I'll tell you what. Can't have the future heroes of Noros going hungry on their first night in their new home. Can't have the future heroes of Noros going. Can't have the future heroes. Can't have the future heroes of Noros going hungry on their first night in their new home, he said.
Oof, what's in here? Aaron asked. It's heavy as sin. I peered across her shoulder as she opened the basket, and Canute jumped in place like a child on her other side. Inside was not just food, but a small keg of beer and 4 mugs. A small note was tucked between the loaves of bread. Proud to be a small part of your journey. Don't forget the little people when you're famous. Johann. This is incredible. I said, genuinely touched. You didn't have to do this. Johann waved away my thanks. Consider it an investment. When monsters are breaking down the walls, I'll be counting on you lot to save my skin, he said and winked. Again. I couldn't help but marvel at how far Johann had come from the scared scavenger I'd first met. He'd built something for himself here and become a key part of the community. Free food? Canute asked, reaching for the basket. Being hero not so bad. We'll always save when need. Promise. Just don't let it go to your head. Or stomach. Being hero not so bad. We'll always save when need. Promised. Johann laughed. Just don't let it go to your head. Or stomach. He clapped me on the shoulder. The meals are only free. This once. The beer, well, you know how to drink. The meals are only free this once. The beer, well, you know you drink for free. Even if you cost me the profit of 12 normal-sized men, Canute. What's in the box? Nabia asked from where she still sat on the floor. Stuff to make you enjoy the evening, Johann said. Tomorrow, your hard work begins again, and, tomorrow, your hard work. Oh, okay. Tomorrow, your hard work begins again. And, say, what do you think about selling me a few monster heads, I was thinking maybe it would be fun putting them up around... the tavern to show that we're taking heads too. Could do wonders to morale. I love that, I said. We'll see what we can scrounge up. Thanks, Johann said. Thanks, Johann said and headed out. No sooner had Johann left than we gathered around the food. Why aren't I doing all the cartoon voices on TV right now? Well, I thank you for that vote of confidence there. I guess I just don't know the right people. I'm busy with my audiobooks, I suppose. No sooner had Johann left than we gathered around the food. No sooner had Johann left than we gathered around... I think it's that we. No sooner had Johann left than we gathered around the food, the aroma making my stomach growl. I hadn't realized how hungry I was until now. This is quite the spread, Nabia said, pulling out a roasted chicken leg. Your tavern friend knows how to curry favor with adventurers. Knut was already pouring beer into the mugs, foam spilling over the sides. Good man, smart man, feed fighters, fighters protect. Tavern. It's more than that, Aaron said to Nabia, accepting a mug. Johann tried. Thank you, Jordan Kramer and Amanda. Our lives too.
Oh, please, Rock said. Are we going to get sentimental over food now? Though I must admit that chicken does look succulent. Perhaps you could dip some... Are we going to get sentimental over food now? Though I must admit that chicken does look succulent. Perhaps you could drip some of the juices onto my head for, maintenance purposes?
What's up? Aaron asked, noticing my expression. My hammer wants chicken juice on his head. Nabia nearly choked on her beer. Your hammer wants... what? Don't ask, I said, tearing off a piece of bread. Trust me, it's better that way. Knut nodded sagely. Hammer have strange tastes, like pie and milk. How can a hammer have wants? Nabia asked, looking at me as if I was crazy, for which I couldn't blame her. Nabia asked, looking at me as if I was crazy, for which I couldn't blame her. We had decided not to tell her about Rock for now, not until we were completely sure she would not only want to stay in the party, but that she would be loyal to us and not spill our secrets. Until then, it was easier to pretend I was a bit Coco for monster guts. I scratched the back of my head. Sometimes I get a feeling my hammer wants something, and ever since I started indulging those feelings, luck. Sometimes I get a feeling my hammer wants something, and ever since I started indulging those feelings, luck has been on our side, I said. I know it's strange, but hey, if it works, right? Speaking of strange and things working, Nabia said, leaning forward. What's the deal with House Domidius? I've heard whispers, but nothing concrete. The mood shifted instantly. Aaron's shoulders tensed, and Knut's expression darkened. There are enemies. Vultures. There are enemies. Vultures, I said, keeping my voice even. They prey on craftsmen, especially blacksmiths, finding ways to steal their forges or enslaving them through brutal contracts. They take and keep on taking. And keep on taking. They burned down Paul's previous smithy, Erin added quietly. Your father's a smith too? The mage asked. No, Erin said, shaking her head. Pa is Ash's father, well, adoptive father, but he's so nice to all of us, kind of like a father figure, so we all just call him Pa. Nabia nodded. So they burned down your smithy and are still after your family here? This far out on the frontier? They do have a claim on our smithy, I explained. They do have a claim on our smithy, I explained. Pa needed a loan to build it. We're working on paying it off, but noble shits don't want money, Knut finished. Want smithy, want control. Short time ago they tried burn it down, us sleeping in it.
When are we paying them a visit? They should have sent someone here ages ago. Someone else we can smash,
Rock interjected.
I'm sure I could persuade them to reconsider their business. I'm sure I could persuade them to reconsider their business practices. Nothing says debt forgiveness like a hammer to the skull.
Not helping. Not helping, Rock. I already told you that we can't just go about and break their skulls whenever we please. Things are different when you poke a noble house, and they'll send someone eventually, I'm sure. They got the gemgram from Ivan. When he doesn't show up, they'll come.
Who said anything about helping? I'm talking about solving the problem.
Why blacksmith specifically? Nibia asked, reaching for more bread to soak up the chicken grease. Seems oddly specific for a noble house. Control weapon and armor supply. Control power, Knut said simply. I nodded. Exactly. In Kingsworth, they own most of the smithies. They dictate prices, quality, who gets what. The Adventuring Guild has its own smiths, but for everyone else, and with the rifts opening, Erin added, monster materials are becoming the new gold. Whoever controls the production controls the market, Nabia finished. Clever bastards. They're more than clever, I said. They're dangerous. Their youngest son, Earl Domitius, he's a level 32 adventurer. Nabia whistled low. That's problematic.
True,
Knut agreed.
It's not impressive. We'll be there in no time, and then we'll crush this Earl like an insect beneath our mighty...
Rock, please. We're trying to have a serious conversation here.
I am being serious. I am being serious. Deadly serious. Which is exactly what this Earl will be when we're done with him. Once you figure out my breakthrough!
What about the Adventuring Guild? Nabia asked. Will they not help you? I'm not sure how it works in Asbara, but here in Thuringia, the guild is careful of their neutrality. Erin said. They need the nobles' support for resources, land, and political backing, and the nobles need the guild to keep the monsters at bay. Useless, Knut said, draining his mug and refilling it with the little that remained of the keg without offering anyone else. I didn't mind. Nabia considered this, twirling a chicken bone between her fingers. Well, that makes our path forward clear, doesn't it? We need to become powerful enough that they can't mess with us. We? Erin asked. We, Nabia confirmed. Power is the only true currency in this world. Gold, titles, land, they're just symbols. Real power is what you can do to survive, and what you can do to others to unsurvive them. And I've thrown in with you. No point being a fair weather party, would it? Speaking from experience? Speaking from experience? I asked. Something flickered across Nabia's face. Pain, perhaps, or anger, before her usual confident smile returned. Let's just say I've learned a few lessons about power and those who wield it.
I like her more and more,
Rock commented.
She understands the fundamental truth of existence. Might makes right.
Enough politics, Knut declared, raising his mug. Toast to new home, new team, one big family. We clinked our mugs together, the beer sloshing over the sides, mostly into Knut's. To becoming strong enough to protect what matters, Aaron added. To making those who cross us regret it, Nabia said with a wicked grin. To family, I finished simply. As we ate, the conversation turned to tomorrow's hunt. The ironclad ravine's our best bet, slaying shardfangs, I said, wiping grease from my chin. Good place to work on our party tactics while earning money. Pack tactics? Nabia asked. Basic ones, Aaron said. They'll try to flank you, but they're not particularly smart. Their main advantage is their armor, claws, and those teeth of theirs. Bite through steel, Knut added. Smash rock puppy weak spots, neck, underbelly. Or just hit them hard enough that the armor doesn't matter, I said with a grin.
Now you're talking, Rock exclaimed. None of this strategic nonsense, just pure, glorious violence.
What about those crystal strikers? Nabia suggested. I've heard they're worth more, and I talked with the staff maker. If I can get her the right materials and a dune's worth of gold, she'll make me a significant upgrade. The Echoing Chasm's too far. The Echoing Chasm's too dangerous for now, I said. At least until Aaron gets her class. Aaron's expression tightened slightly. I can handle myself. I know you can, I assured her quickly. But we need you at full strength. You remember what we saw there. Crystalkin dangerous, Knut added. Knut agreed. Smart. Work together. Bad first hunt as team. Nabia nodded reluctantly. Fair enough. Shardfangs it is. But I would like to visit there as soon as we can. As a 4-man and woman team, it shouldn't be too dangerous. Agree with that wholeheartedly. First we need some coins to set this place up, I continued. Then we need to focus on getting Erin her class gem. Furniture, Nabia agreed. I need my beauty sleep, and wood is far less comfortable than sand. Can sleep anywhere, the northerner shrugged. The northerner shrugged. But bed nice. And speaking of sleeping, Nabia said with a mischievous grin, I couldn't help but notice there are 4 bedrooms and 4 of us, yet somehow I suspect we'll only be using 3 most nights. Erin's cheeks flushed pink, and she let out a small squeal, then slapped Nabia's leg. I cleared my throat and tapped my finger on the hard wooden floor. Not that it's any of your business, but you are incorrect. We are courting, and we're both adamant about doing it properly, I said. Just making an observation, Nabia said innocently. Though I do wonder what the guild will say about a scavenger living here. You heard Madeline. The guild can mind its own business, I said firmly.
Oh, the scandal,
Rock mocked.
Let's smash anyone who dares comment on it.
I thought you didn't like all the smoochy.
I just want to kill a few humans.
Why?
Maybe a human kill is what I need to break through.
I sighed. Nabia jealous, Knut said, his expression deadpan. No one to keep her warm. We find you a hot-blooded man if you want. We are family now, yes? Look out for each other. Nabia threw a chicken bone at him, which he caught effortlessly and crushed between 2 fingers. I'll have you know I prefer my bed unoccupied, thank you very much, she said. Fewer complications that way. Speaking of complications, Aaron said, clearly eager to change the subject. What's the plan to upgrade your hammer? That was code for leveling rock. Any ideas yet? Aaron asked. I shook my head. Edwin's been avoiding me since we returned. I'm not sure if it's just because he's so busy Riftside or if something's wrong, but I'm going to have to address it sooner rather than later.
Or he's hiding it from us,
Rock insisted.
keeping us weak while he plots and schemes to take me from your cold, dead hands. We should strike first.
What upgrades are you going for? Libya asked. Something that needs a particular type of monster carcass? Or ritual, Canute added. Blood, sacrifice, moon phase, magic words. That's actually not a bad thought, I admitted. Pa made this hammer without a guide, mostly luck. There could be special requirements we don't know about.
A blood sacrifice sounds promising, Rock said eagerly. Whose blood shall we spill first? I vote for Benedict. Yes, let's find and sacrifice him. I don't care if it'll give me a hammer freeze. I demand Ice Mage blood.
We're not sacrificing anyone, Rock. Okay, we're not sacrificing anyone, Rock. At least not until it's completely necessary. Killing people has different implications than killing monsters. Stop wishing for human death.
That is not acceptable. I refuse to be stuck at level 9 forever. Also, why don't you have a problem killing my kind, huh? You are a racist. No, a speciesist. A speciesist or something. No idea if that's even a thing.
A knock at the door. Whew. A knock at the door. I should have some tea. Blah, blah, blah. Hello, everybody. It is hot in this booth. Welcome to the Riftside 2 Cold Reads. My name is Justin Thomas James, and yes, I'm working on Riftside 2. If you haven't already checked out Riftside 1, you should be able to find a link in the comments. Obviously, there's going to be spoilers if you haven't finished Riftside 1, so definitely, if you're going to be listening, keep that in mind. But this is a very fun series, frontier, town-building, dungeon core, sentient weapon, classic LitRPG, which is fun to kind of get back to roots. So I'm enjoying myself.
No idea if that's even a thing.
A knock at the door interrupted our discussion. Canute was on his feet instantly, his mace appearing in hand. Who? He called. It's us, came Ma's voice. We brought gifts. I opened the door to find Pa and Ma, their arms laden with bundles. Thought you might need these, Ma said. Ma said, bustling past me with a stack of blankets and pillows. Can't have you sleeping on bare floors. Pa followed more slowly, limping slightly, carrying something large wrapped in an oiled cloth. The distinctive shape made my blacksmith's instincts tingle with curiosity. Whatever was under that wrapping had the unmistakable silhouette of armor. Thank you, Ma, Aaron said, accepting the bundles and handing part to Nabia. The mage bowed from the waist. May shade always find you, she said. Ma? Ma and Pa shared a glance before laughing. From your tone, that's not an insult, but I'd rather fancy a bit more sun myself, Pa said. We're always cramped up in that shop of ours. We should go out more often, and now we have a good reason, to visit the kids. In the desert, it is a most valuable commodity, Nabia said. as are genuine presents such as these. Thank you. Oh, stop it. Oh, stop it, Ma said, waving the comment away. We can't have our son's adventuring party sleeping on the bare floor now, can we? It'll be bad for your health. And speaking of health, I got something for you, Knut. Pa said, his voice gruff. I've been setting aside part of the carcasses you've been bringing, and with the remaining share of the Titan Fang, well... Knut's eyebrows rose as Pa set the bundle down in the center of the bare floor. Knut's eyebrows rose. Knut's eyebrows rose as Pa set the bundle. Knut's eyebrows rose as Pa set the bundle down in the center of our bare floor and unwrapped the oiled cloth to reveal a gleaming set of plate armor. I grinned at the craftsmanship. The metal had a white sheen, but the most amazing part was the chest piece, clearly made from Titan Fang materials. Deserters' balls in a rotting sack. Knut said, and Aaron slapped his arm as I knelt beside the armor, running my fingers over the joins. Pa had worked the plates to perfection. They were thick enough for protection at vital areas, thinner at flex points for mobility. The rivets were countersunk and polished smooth, and the edges were beveled to deflect blows rather than catch them. It is a fairly decent armor. I said, pointing out how we'd integrate the monster's natural armor plates into the design. We worked to preserve the strength of the Titan Fang planks. We worked to preserve the strength of the Titan Fang plates while giving you a full range of motion. Worked together? Knut asked. I nodded. Took most of the last 2 days, but after you took the hit for me in the dungeon, we figured it'd be in our best interest to make you even better equipped to take more hits for me in the future. I grinned and winked at the northerner.
At least you managed to follow instructions for once and get the finish on the armor just right.
Took every bit of the Titan Fang Ash managed to get from Edwin, Pa admitted. Worth it, though. Knut circled the armor, his expression unreadable. Too fancy, he said, but his hands twitched toward the armor. I fight dirty, not look like knight. You'll look like whatever the hell you want, Pa replied. But you'll look alive, which is the point. That's the real gift here, the quality. Could have made standard plate, kept more material for other projects, but you deserve the best, because you're protecting my son and my future daughter-in-law. Oh my, Nabia said as she too circled the armor, eyes wide. Our tank is getting an upgrade. You'll be positively resplendent, Knut.
Don't know word, Knut grumbled. Means hard to kill?
It means you'll look pretty, like a noble, Aaron teased. Knut made a face of such exaggerated disgust that we all burst out laughing. Have you already checked the stats, Knut? I asked. Pa's grin showed nearly every single one of his pearly whites. Go on, big guy. Pick it up. Knut shrugged, pretending disinterest.
Too fancy for me. You take. Look like pretty boy.
I rolled my eyes and swiped it into my spatial storage, bringing up the statistics and marveling at them once again.
Name: Titanic plate. Type: chest. Rarity: rare. +5 vitality. +2 strength. By the first forge and final flame, I said, acting as if I hadn't seen them in the smithy. By the first forge and final flame, I said, acting as if I hadn't just seen them in the smithy. I said, acting as if I hadn't seen them in the smithy. Pa chuckled. Yep. I swiped the armor out and handed it to Knut. Stop being a child and look. Stop being a child and look. It's worth it. Knut accepted the armor, and his eyebrows rose. By mercenary's purse! He turned to Pa. Rare! Pa inspected his soot-stained nails and shrugged. Steel and scale, you know. Knut pulled Pa into a bear hug, lifted the huge man off his feet, and twirled him around. Thank you, I protect Golden Bird. Try it on, Pa grunted when he was finally put down. Try it on. Try it on, Pa grunted when he was finally put down. Pa grunted when he was finally put down. Want to make sure the fit is right before your hunt tomorrow. As Knut began strapping on the armor with Pa's help, I noticed Ma had pulled Aaron aside near the kitchen area. They spoke in hushed tones, but with my enhanced hearing, I caught enough to piece it together. You'll take care of him, won't you? Ma asked softly, her hands clasping Aaron's. He charges ahead without thinking sometimes. Aaron squeezed Ma's hands. With everything I have, she promised. He's stubborn and reckless, but he's mine to protect now, too. I won't let anything happen or I'll die alongside him. Watch out for Rock's influence, Ma whispered. You're already family to us. You know that. I know, Aaron replied. And I couldn't be more grateful for how you've welcomed me. I turned away, pretending I hadn't heard, a warmth spreading through my chest that had nothing to do with the fire. Sure, I'd known how she felt, but hearing it in this way was something else indeed.
Oh, please, Rock complained. All this sentiment is making me nauseous. Though, I must admit that armor. All this sentiment is making me nauseous. Though I must admit that armor is impressive. Your father knows his craft, sure, but without our help, or rather without me, the set of armor wouldn't have turned out that well. I can promise you that, but, you know, I wonder what he could make for you. I can promise you that, but, you know, I wonder what he could make for you with the right materials.
Ma fussed around the house for a while longer, making dire predictions about our ability to keep the place clean and promising to bring proper cookware tomorrow. When they finally left, the house felt warmer somehow, more like a home. Your parents are good people, Nabia said softly, running her fingers over one of the blankets Ma had brought. The best, I agreed. You'll see in due time. I promise. Knut stood in the center of the room, now wearing his new armor, moving his arms experimentally to test the range of motion. The firelight caught on the metal. Perfect. Perfect, he declared. We'll take many hits and absorb many glow-clap explosions for science and to honor Pa's work. That's all he asks, I said, clapping him on the shoulder. So what if Rock had been instrumental in the forging? Pa was still the smith and the director and deserved the praise. We spent the next hour arranging our sleeping areas with the blankets and pillows Ma had brought, the conversation flowing easily between us. Plans for tomorrow's hunt, ideas for furniture we'd need to buy, debates about the best ways to decorate our new home. It felt exciting, reaching a new stage in life. Not only was I a classed adventurer, but I had my own room for the first time in my life. One away from home and together with a party of adventurers under my care. It just felt awesome. As the fire burned down to embers, Canute yawned, stretching his massive arms above his head.
Sleep now, and tomorrow. He eyed me with amusement. Maybe put hammer under pillow? Soak wisdom?
Don't even joke about that, I muttered, but I smiled.
Actually, that's not a bad idea, Rock mused. I could whisper strategies while you sleep, or perhaps just remind you of all the glorious violence awaiting us tomorrow. Sweet dreams indeed.
Nabia and Canute retreated to their rooms first, leaving me standing by the stairs with Erin in my arms. I love you, she said, smiling. I know, I said, leaning down to kiss her. I love you too. Hey, thank you, Jordan, for checking out Book 1. Appreciate that. Amanda, yeah, it is a fun series. It is fun. Good fun. I really liked Book 1. Nice balance between kind of silly Muppet Hammer and, heart-filled storyline. Eventually we separated, and she went to her room, giving me a wave and a smile over her shoulder. I paused at the stairs, looking down on our empty main room, already imagining how it would look filled with furniture, with new memories, and with life. Tomorrow would be our first hunt as a proper team, the beginning of something new, and hopefully something great. There we go. That is the end of Chapter 1. You're getting a taste of this here book. That was a long chapter. What was that, like 30 minutes? 38-minute chapter. My goodness. That was all one chapter. Yep. Lots of dialogue. That's good, though. All right, let's see what's going on in Microsoft Teams. Make sure I'm not nated. Cool. Yeah, it takes some getting used to. I have to make sure I'm staying well hydrated for all that. And that I don't push it too much. But usually, like, the first intro was a lot. That was just a lot of, like, this is all Rock in that first intro, because he explains what happened in the previous books. So yeah, I have to be careful not to push it too much, but so far so good. All right, let's keep it going. Chapter 2. I breathed in the crisp morning air as I moved through a series of warm-up exercises in the small training yard behind our new home. The space wasn't much, just a patch of packed earth with a few wooden posts. However, it was ours, and we planned to make something grand out of it once we could afford it. How did it feel? How did it feel to sleep in our new home? I asked Erin. She sat on a bench by the wall, the only piece of furniture in the backyard. She sat on a bench by the wall, the only piece of furniture in the backyard. She was going through her arrows, checking them to see how many were still usable. Erin looked up and smiled at me. Her golden hair was tied back in that beautiful braid, though a few strands had already escaped to frame her face. "Better than I expected, actually," she replied, running her fingers along an arrow shaft. She replied, running her fingers along an arrow shaft, checking for cracks. "I've been staying in inns for so long, I was nervous about having an entire room to myself, though it would be too quiet, unsettling." She grinned. "Not at all. Slept like a baby." I know what you mean. I know what you mean, I said, laughing as I executed an overhead. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Nice. I know what you mean, I said, laughing as I executed an overhead strike, careful of pulling the hit just enough so as not to break the practice post. First time I've had my own space, too. Was too quiet, so I kept waking up thinking I needed to check on Ma and Pa. It was just, weird, but I loved it. It was just weird, but I loved it. The freedom is wonderful, I said, and whistled at that.
Focus! Focus! Focus!
Rock interrupted.
Less chit-chat and more practice! Less chit-chat and more practice! We need to be ready. Anything we find, we crush! It's the only way to get me my breakthrough. Rivers and rivers of blood. No, a sea of blood, yes, with spikes growing from the bottom.
I chuckled, continuing my routine. Despite what I'd said to Rock, there was a perhaps not completely minor part of me that told me to hunt with him while stuck at level 9. It was an unheard-of way to level up, and every monster we killed would both save us a lot of money, allow us to put the mind gems to leveling someone else, and science. I was curious how much I could actually leech off him. "Pull foot faster," Knut said. "Sloppy form." He sat on a rock he'd just rolled to the edge of our yard. Hunched over as he meticulously applied a greenish paste to the joints of his new Titanic plate armor. The monster grease would keep the metal from chafing and provide additional protection against the elements. Unlike the night before, where he went all "I don't deserve it," Knut was now grinning like a child with a mouthful of candy.
See? Even the oaf knows you're not paying attention.
"Like this?" I asked Knut, repeating the strike. "Better. Swing with meaning." Our tank had offered to tutor me on my strikes and some of the forms we used in combat. I wasn't too proud to say yes to any kind of improvement, and readily agreed. "Oh, Pa make good armor," Knut muttered, working the grease into a particularly tight joint. "Better than northern smiths. Don't tell or they skin me. Your secret's safe with us." I laughed and swung my hammer again. A dramatic yawn drew our attention to Nabia, who sat cross-legged on the ground, hugging her staff like it was the only thing keeping her awake. Her robes were rumpled and her eyes barely open. "Not a morning person, are you?" Erin asked, amusement dancing in her eyes. Nabia groaned. "It's inhuman to be awake at this hour. I became an adventurer specifically so I could keep my own hours." She squinted at the rising sun with genuine resentment. "But no, it's early adventurer gets the shard fangs with you people." "Early bird gets Titan fang," Knut corrected with a grin. "You'll be happy at end of day, promise." "Whatever," Nabia muttered. "Birds, worms, shard fangs, they all should still be sleeping right now. Me included, thank you very much."
"Enough pulling your blows," Rock said. "Slay this wooden pole. See if it helps me break through."
"We'll have to replace it."
"I don't care."
"We'll figure this out, all right? I want you to break through too." But that won't happen if we try to force our way. We'll find Edwin soon and push harder. See if he can tell us anything."
"Please do. It is frustrating to be stuck at the precipice of greatness." "Please do. It is frustrating to be stuck at the precipice of greatness."
Aren't you hungry? Aren't you hungry for some blood today? Finally get to eat again after the last few days?" There was a pause before Rock responded, his voice uncharacteristically subdued.
"It's not the same when I don't grow in power from destroying everything. It's not the same when I don't grow in power from destroying everything in existence. What's the point of slaughter if I can't level up? Now that's just a travesty. Now that is just a travesty. Now that is just travesty."
I considered pointing out that I'd be stronger. I considered pointing out that I'd be getting stronger from it, so it was hardly wasted, but decided against it. After running through the forms twice more, I hung Rock from my belt. All right, I said, clapping my hands to draw everyone's attention. "Let's finish up and head out. These shard fangs won't hunt themselves." We gathered our gear and stepped out onto the main street a short while later, Erin locking the door with a wide smile on her face. The breeze carried the scent of fresh baked bread from somewhere nearby, but that was to be expected with so many bakeries around. Dawnwatch came alive around us, more vibrant than even just weeks ago, with all the new people who were making it their home. Even more so, the constant trickle of adventurers. "Town's growing," I said as we walked down the main street, running straight from the town's entrance, past our house and to the rift in the distance. "More people every day." Merchants opened their shops, guards patrolled in pairs, and construction crews were already preparing for a hard day's work. As we passed between the Adventurers Guild and the Royal Bank, I glanced left and caught sight of something massive behind the guild hall. As we passed between the Adventurers Guild and the Royal Bank, I glanced left and caught sight of something massive behind the guild hall. "Look at that," I said, pointing. Behind the guild, the enormous carcass of the Titan Fang we'd killed in the dungeon lay sprawled across the ground. A small group of craftsmen were slowly disassembling the entire carcass, ripping off its armored plates, while others carved and preserved its flesh. Wonder what they'll use the plates for, I mused. Wish we could have gotten more of it. Knut shrugged his massive shoulders. Worth more than fancy armor. I think was good deal." "Easy for you to say," Nabia laughed, gesturing at his gleaming new plate. "You got both." Erin shuddered slightly as we passed. "Even dead it looks terrifying. If that entire thing had made it into a chamber, we'd probably be done for." Good thing I'm not voicing that character. "We'd probably be done for." We continued down the street, passing a group of adventurers I hadn't seen before, heading toward the merchant's quarter. Their equipment looked brand new, and they were eagerly chatting, pointing at something past us. More guildies, I noted. Opportunities must be drawing them in. It's too early for news of the raid's success to have spread that far, Aaron pointed out. They must have been on their way already. Nabia nodded. Word of Steelhusk has reached even in Asbara. That's partly why I came here. With such a valuable resource Riftside, I knew parties would be looking for new members. And let's be honest here. You've gotten the best of both worlds. A beauty without equal and a magician without... well, not equal, but yes, talent. We all chuckled at that good-heartedly, and she laughed too. Nabia had a weird sense of humor and way of speech, but we were getting along just fine. As we passed the first ring road, I glanced left toward Steel and Scale, hoping to catch a glimpse of Ma and Pa, but they weren't outside yet. The door stood open, though, so I figured that the two were already hard at work. A part of me wanted to go check on them, but the majority reveled in my newfound freedom. I wasn't a kid anymore, no. I was an adventurer with my own party and life of my own. It was high time I started to act like an adult. A familiar figure in guard's armor waved. A familiar figure in guard's armor waved as we approached the inner defensive perimeter. "Enar!" I called. "How's the family?" "All well," he replied with a grin, stepping from his post. "When are you taking scavengers out again?" "I've been practicing with my spear." Not sure yet, I admitted. "But I'll save you a spot. It's a promise." "I appreciate it." "Oh, I appreciate it," Enar said, clapping me on the shoulder before returning to his spot. After passing Sluice? I think it's Sluice? Yes. After passing through the sluice, we reached First Steel proper, the powerful wall encircling the rift. Shadows covered us as we stepped through the gatehouse and onto the wooden bridge leading to the rift. The moat inside Firesteel was nearly full now, and before we could cross the bridge, we had to wait for a team of laborers that emerged from the rift. The 24 men walked in perfect synchronization, carrying a massive section of steelhusk tree on ropes slung between them. "Like gold growing from the ground," Nabia muttered as we leaned against the gatehouse, making way for them to pass. "Heavy gold," Knut grunted. "Tough gold," Aaron added. "Wooden gold," I said, nodding to the rift. I just hope it'll be enough to stand against anything that might come through that rift. I just hope it'll be enough to stand against anything that might come through that rift. All right, CB. Like me, Sentinel Station was barely recognizable from when Ma, Pa, and I had arrived in Dawnwatch. What had once been a hastily constructed outpost Riftside of the branchway portal was now a formidable fort. Not only that, but today it seemed busier than ever, with craftsmen swarming over the walls, and I realized with a start that they were fitting sections of Titan Fang armor into the defenses. The worm was huge, true, but there were nowhere near enough scales to reinforce all of the walls. That said, Steel Husk was already more than strong enough. The scales were just an extra layer of defenses in more critical areas, I figured. "So that's why Harold insisted on buying the carcass," Aaron said. The yard was filled with stacks of supplies, and 2 teams of adventurers were preparing to head out. The constant sound of hammering and shouting created a beautiful symphony of The constant sound of hammering and shouting created a beautiful symphony of industry. This was why we had fought and bled our way into the Twisted Titan to exterminate the breeding chamber, to buy ourselves time to do what we did best: expand, explore, and exploit. Hard to believe how different this place looks from when I first arrived. Hard to believe how different this place looks from when I first arrived, I said, shaking my head in wonder. The walls had barely been raised. The walls had barely been raised. Now they look as strong as a frontier town itself. My eyes caught a familiar figure on the wall. Commander Edwin was directing workers with quick, efficient gestures. Even from a distance, I could see the exhaustion in his posture. Wait here. Wait here. Wait here, I told the others. I need to talk with Edwin. I need to talk to Edwin. I need to talk to Edwin. I need to talk to Edwin. I jogged toward the wall, calling up to him. Commander, I've been trying to catch you the last few days. Edwin's shoulders tensed visibly before he turned, his expression shifting into something that might have been a smile if it weren't so strained. Ash! 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 He said, climbing down to meet me. Good to see you, but I'm drowning in logistics and expansion. Good to see you, but I'm drowning in logistics and expansion plans right now. It's important, I said, lowering my voice. It's about my, hammer. Edwin's eyes darted around, checking who might be within earshot. Oh, I wish I could help now, but I've got to. I have 2 groups going out on missions. 3 fortification projects, and I haven't slept in 30 hours. Just 5 minutes and I... Just focus on getting stronger, he interrupted, already backing away. We'll talk soon, I promise. He turned quickly. Need to check the eastern wall before the next patrol leaves. Need to check the eastern wall before the next patrol leaves. I watched him hurry away, frustration building in my chest. It was clear as day now that he was avoiding me, but what could I do? It's not like I had any right to order the man. Or threaten him to give me any information he might have.
Coward!
Rock seethed, his voice booming in my mind.
He knows something, Ash. Why won't he just tell us?
It is strange, I muttered. But we'll figure it out. I trust him, and so should you. For now, we'll take his advice and focus on getting stronger. I returned to the others, though some of my frustration must have been evident on my face because Aaron placed a gentle hand on my arm. The commander did look exhausted. All I need is 5 minutes. No, a single minute, I muttered, still looking after Edwin's retreating form. It's not like we're just anyone, for crying out loud. Nabia shrugged dramatically. Powerful men have secrets. In my experience, they only share when they have no other choice. She twirled her staff idly before dropping it. Oops. She picked it up and kept on twirling it. We need to make ourselves indispensable or threatening. Then I'm sure he'll talk to you about whatever you want.
Now this one has got some brains,
Rock said.
Threatening is definitely the way to go. A little intimidation and he'll listen. I'm confident.
Knut nodded sagely. Become strongest, then answers come. Always work. Even kings talk to powerful warriors. I sighed, reluctantly accepting their logic, though I knew very well all of it was monster crap. He was avoiding me for whatever reason, and it was starting to bother me much more than it had any right to. Let's head out. But first, let's check the soul tablet. I want to see where everyone stands, I said. My eyes flickered to Nabia momentarily. This would be a good test of any loyalty she might have toward us and status. How would she react to my unique class? Besides, I was curious about everyone's stats more than anything. We approached the black stone tablet. We approached the black stone tablet near the gate, and Erin stepped up first, placing her hand on its smooth surface. Glowing letters appeared there. Glowing letters appeared there a moment later. Name, Erin Whitcroft. Class, None. Scavenger. Level, 9, 2 out of 10. Strength, 11. Agility, 11. 17, I mean. Strength, 11. Agility, 17. Vitality, 9. Mind, 15. Total stats, 52. Not bad, Nabia said, peering over Erin's shoulder. Your agility and mind are impressive for a scavenger, but then again, you are a pretty one, if I may say so. Brains and beauty go hand in hand. Just look at me. Erin smiled, though I could see the slight tension in her expression. She was still sensitive about being unclassed. Nabia stepped up next, placing her palm confidently on the stone. Nabia stepped up next, placing her palm confidently on the stone. Name, Nabia Sayani. Class, Pyromancer. Level, 15. 3 out of 16. Strength, 15. Agility, 16. Vitality, 16. Mind, 31. Total stats, 78. Mana, 90 out of 90. Impressive mind stat, I said. Nabia flashed a grin. Fire magic requires precision. One wrong thought and you're cooking yourself instead of your enemies. Canute lumbered forward, his hand twice the size of the fire mage's, and he pressed it against the tablet next. Name, Canute Coin Shield Steelwall. Class, Shield Bearer. Level, 19, 20 out of 20. Strength, 28. Agility, 16. Vitality, 35. Mind, 14. Total stats, 93. Mana, 57 out of 57.
Strong like ox, he said with a proud grin. Tough like mountain.
And about as quick-witted as both combined, Nabia teased, earning a good-natured growl from the northerner. Finally, I stepped forward, placing my hand on the cool stone surface. Name, Ash Aldrich. Class, Hammerlord. Level, 10, 4 out of 11. Strength, 41. Agility, 22. Vitality, 31. Mind, 18. Total stats, 112. Mana, 45 out of 45. Canute's eyes widened as he read my stats.
By frozen balls of northern gods, over 100. How?
What? Never seen a proper adventurer before? I asked, wiggling my eyebrows at him and grinning like a crazy man. There we go. Much shorter chapter that time. And 2. Okay, so how much have we done so far? We've done 38 plus about, what was that, like 17? Yeah, about 17, so 55, plus the prologue, which is 12 minutes, so an hour and 7 minutes completed. Not too bad, not too bad. Making good progress. There we go. I think I might try switching things up a little bit. Let me see. Can this go a little higher? No, it doesn't go higher. It does go lower, though. Yeah, I think I want to just try making my screen just a little lower. Excuse me, you can't see me right now. There we go. And then maybe tilting it up just like this. And the reason is I'm less doing this. If I'm doing this, I'm straining my voice, and this way I can keep better posture a little bit easier. So I'm going to stick that there, and then there we go. All right, one more chapter. Been streaming since 3. Are you in South Africa right now? Because it is 11:20 right now. I started streaming at 9 o'clock, according to my watch. 3 Eastern time, or 9 o'clock Eastern time. Cool. So it's 3 in the afternoon. So right now it is, what is it, 5:20? $5:21. There you go. Cool. All right, let's keep going. I'm going to move my mic now. There we go. Ooh. Yeah, I'm doing this cold read a little bit differently, actually. So I'm only going to do this one session of cold read. Have it just be one event. That means that I'm able to speed through a little bit faster when I start narrating normally tomorrow. You'll still be able to listen in on the Discord, so make sure you join the Sound Booth Theater Discord if you haven't already. How do you find the Sound Booth Theater Discord? Well, let me see if I can get you a link. Invite people. There we go. If you would like to join the Discord and listen to me and Jeff, and sometimes other narrators record in the background, then definitely check that out. Check out that link, join, sign yourself up for Narrating Now notifications, and we'll let you know every time we are in the chat. Here we go. Yes, the lower neck will help with strain on voice with Rock's voice. Oh, big back crack there. Chapter 3. I walked off, chuckling to myself as I left them stunned and headed out of the gate. No bell rang this time. Too many people were moving in and out for it to be useful. No bell rang this time. Too many people were moving in and out for it to be useful. Those stats are not normal, Nabia said, rushing up to my side. I've never seen anything. Her words trailed off as we took in all the Her words trailed off as we took in all the Her words trailed off as we all took in the transformation happening before us. What had once been a simple, cleared area allowing defenders to spot approaching monsters was now turned into a carefully engineered death trap. Workers swarmed across the killing fields, digging trenches in concentric circles around Sentinel Station. Others were hammering sharpened steel husk stakes into the ground, all angled outward to impale any charging monsters. The only clear path was the one we stood on, leading from the station's gate into the wilderness. By the 3 bells, I murmured, watching a team of 4 adventurers carefully positioning glow caps, the explosive fungi we'd encountered in the Cathedral of Bone, in strategic patterns throughout the field.
They're turning it into a slaughterhouse, Rock said. I like the spikes. I like the spikes. They should add more. And acid pits. Maybe some sort of spinning blade contraption? Oh, I have ideas, Ash.
I'm sure you do. A worker nearby took a deep drink from a small vial, likely a potion to protect against the glow claps. Glow claps? A worker nearby took a deep drink from a small vial, likely a potion to protect against the glow cap's fumes, before joining the adventurers handling the volatile organisms. Volatile. Yeah, I thought so. Before joining. A worker nearby took a deep drink from a small vial, likely a potion to protect against the glow claps. A worker nearby took a deep drink from a small vial, likely a potion to protect against the glow cap's fumes, before joining the adventurers handling the volatile before joining the adventurers handling the volatile organisms. Their faces were tense as they chained the fungi. Their faces were tense as they chained the fungi together and made sure none of the monsters could wiggle free. We didn't need any walking bombs running about. At the far edge of the clearing, a team of lumberjacks worked on a massive steel husk tree. Their foreman raised his hand and they all paused, taking deep breaths before shouting in unison, "Dawn watch! Dawn watch! Dawn watch! Dawn watch!" Ooh, that's so loud. Dawn watch! Dawn watch! Dawn watch! Dawn watch! Dawn watch! That's so loud. Their axes bit into the feral section. Their axes bit into the final section of the trunk, and the enormous tree slowly listed to the side, then crashed down with a thunderous impact that echoed across the clearing. Nabia whistled in appreciation. In Asbara, the prince would poison a village for such a piece of steel husk. Our desert fortifications rely on stone and sand barriers, and they're useless against the large monsters. We fight them on horseback over days instead. She shook her head. Much more dangerous than a fortress like Dunwatch. Knut grunted in approval. Northern forts better with steel husk cladding for logs. Strong against cold, strong against monsters. Listen to them singing, Aaron said, and pointed toward a group of workers digging in the trenches. They sang as they worked, a rhythmic tune carrying across the field.
Their song lacks bloodlust, Rock said. My tavern drinking songs are much better. Oh, the blood flows red when the hammer meets head. Now, that's a proper tune.
I was about to respond when I spotted a familiar group making their way out of the wilderness. Richard, the classed warrior who'd commanded one of the other groups in the dungeon raid, led his party of 5 back toward Sentinel Station. They looked tired, but unharmed. Why is Richard coming back at this hour? I asked, nodding toward the group.
2 melee. 2 melee. 2 melee, 1 healer, 1 archer, and a fire mage,
Rock observed.
Balanced, but boring. Not a soul weapon among them. I'd wager your left finger. Not a soul weapon among them. I'd wager your left finger. They are truly inferior.
Richard spotted us and raised a hand in greeting, and we walked up to meet them. Richard. Claire! Ash! Good to see you all, he said as they drew near. Heading out? Heading out? Heading out? Yep. Thought we'd be among the first, I replied, clasping his forearm. What brings you out so early? Richard gestured back toward the wilderness. Night scouting run. With the lack of attacks on Sentinel Station, Commander Edwin wanted to verify there aren't any larger groups of monsters waiting just out of sight at night. And? Aaron asked, stepping forward, nodding at Lydia, Richard's healer. Nearly no roaming monsters, Lydia said. Only the territorial ones in their usual haunts, which is good. Nothing interesting, then? Nothing interesting, then? I asked. Richard exchanged glances with his party members before swiping a strange-looking carcass onto the ground between us. Just this thing, and 3 like it. We all leaned forward to examine the creature. I'd never seen anything like it. Iridescent scales, like that of a fish, covered a serpentine body with multiple limbs jutting out at odd angles. Its head was flat and triangular with no visible eyes. They attacked us out near Shimmer Springs, Richard continued, almost as if they were attempting an ambush. Heard them coming, though. They were way too loud, which was even more odd. Erin touched the sigil next to her eye, activating her identification ability. Her expression shifted from curiosity to surprise. It's a shimmer scale. Never heard of one before.
Ugly, Knut said. Poor design. Touch me to it,
Rock demanded suddenly.
I want to feel it.
I considered asking why, but instead just nudged Rock against the creature's flank.
It is new.
Fast as lightning and twice as dangerous, Richard's archer added, shaking his head. Never seen anything move like that before. I say we're lucky that our full party was out. Someone might have gotten hurt. I say we're lucky that our full party was out, or someone might have gotten hurt. I say we're lucky that our full party was out, or someone might have gotten hurt. 1 second. Badly. 1 second, you guys. I will be right back. Un momento por... There we go. Okay. Ha! Knut barked a laugh. Nothing is twice as dangerous as lightning. We fought a lightning monster and know what we are talking about. What do you mean?
I didn't know what it was before we touched it. That's never happened before. Logically, that means it was made after you rescue... After I nobly escaped the hive mind's evil captivity.
Or it could just be a monster you never met?
I'd never met the Titan Fang or the Bramblebacks or the Shard Fang.
Yes, but I used my sigil on those.
I knew their names before you did.
Nabia knelt beside the creature, studying it with intense curiosity. Perhaps the rift is evolving. In Asbara, whenever we had great success, the monsters always changed. Richard's fire mage frowned. That's news to me. That's news to me. Here, if there's a response at all, it's increased numbers. Forces us to adapt and survive the wave, and then it settles down to the previous pattern. Then why destroy the breeding chamber? Nabia asked, looking up at me. It gives us time to catch up and get stronger, I explained, gesturing toward the killing fields. So even if more monsters come at us after, we'll have an easier time slaying them. Nabia nodded slowly. Makes sense in a way, but I've always seen new species appear after major dungeon raids. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. I would even bet on it. Why did you never mention this before?
Why should I? Why should I? Doesn't matter what it's called. We see, we slay, and that's it. We see, we slay, and that's that. We see, we slay, we see, we slay, and that's that.
New monsters means new dangers, Canute said gravely. Need to be extra careful. Lydia nodded in agreement. Do be careful, especially since you're not a full party and you're going with one unclassed. She glanced apologetically at Aaron, who stiffened slightly. We're only hunting shardfangs today, I said. No detours. Good hunting, then, Richard said, and with a final nod, his party continued toward Sentinel Station. We set off down the path, leaving the bustling activity of the killing fields behind us. The forest beyond was changing too, with more workers thinning the trees, expanding the zone of visibility around the station far beyond what it had been even just a few weeks ago. Seems they're cutting as much steel husk as they can in the break, Aaron said. I've never seen this many workers out here. We passed a particularly massive steel husk, easily 30 feet across. A team of lumberjacks worked to crack its bark. Lumber yard empty, Canute said. All harvesting. I shook my head, amazed at the transformation. It's incredible how quickly they're changing the landscape. Humanity will not go quietly into the night. The monsters will grow to regret the day they decided to invade Noros. Mark my words.
Then we wouldn't have met,
Rock pointed out.
Would you have preferred that?
Would you have preferred if your own world hadn't been invaded? I asked, unable to hold back at all his rambling. There was a pause before Rock responded, his voice subdued.
I don't remember my world or my life, only the glimpses the hive mind showed us. I am sure I'd rather they didn't invade, I think. I'm sure I'd rather they didn't invade, I think. But I am glad I got picked up by you and was forged into a hammer instead of being stuck as a slave to the hive mind.
That's good they're working hard on protection, Nabia said, interrupting my silent conversation. Sometimes in Asbara, the land Riftside seems to be as dangerous as the monsters themselves. What do you mean? Aaron asked. Nabia gestured expansively. Early on in Asbara, we stripped an area around a rift bare and brought all the materials back to Noros, only to find the land starting to collapse. Monsters were tunneling beneath the ground, made it near impossible for adventurers to fight Riftside. Took 2 years of brutal battle to establish another beachhead. Canute scoffed slightly. No land alive, but monsters adapt, like wolves when prey change. I wonder what the hive mind is doing now. I wonder what the hive mind is doing now, I said, more to myself. I said, more to myself than the others.
The hive mind doesn't care about trees, I tell you that. Just look at its home,
Rock said dismissively.
It cares about conquest and consumption, and getting me back.
Knut turned to me, his brow furrowed. Still not understand how stats so high, even with class transformation. It is weird, I admitted. I think it might be because of all the hunting we did as scavengers. Nabia shook her head firmly. No, that's not it. As I said, it's normal for scavengers in Isbara to fight alongside adventurers, and I've never seen stats like yours before. Maybe it was the speed of his rise, Erin suggested, raising her eyebrows meaningfully at Knut. Knut frowned for a moment, then his expression cleared as he understood she was referring to Rock. He nodded sagely. Yes, that is likely why. Camel crap, Nabia said flatly. I've seen several princes' stats, and they are force-fed enough mind gems to become classed in no time. There's something you're not telling me. I just shrugged, and she narrowed her eyes. What's a hammer lord, anyway? She pressed. Never heard of that class. I think it's related to my upbringing as a smith, I said, and smiled. And how I fight with, a hammer.
Tell her I'm a soul weapon,
Rock shouted in my mind.
Tell her I'm the source of your incredible power. I want to see her face when she realizes she's in the presence of greatness. I want to see her face when she realizes she's in the presence of greatness.
Nabia's eyes narrowed further. Nabia's eyes narrowed further. There's something off about this whole situation. You'll find we're not quite a normal group, Erin said. Will you be comfortable keeping secrets? Nabia suddenly grew wary, her posture stiffening. I find it strange you chose to have this discussion Riftside and not in our home together. If I say no, am I going to have an accident? I blinked in shock. What? What? Of course not! Of course not! Who do you think we are, Benedict? I said. Knut laughed loudly. Ha! Simply time to talk now. If you tell secrets, you out. If you want out, leave. Nabia looked among us as we walked along our familiar path. Do these secrets involve anything illegal? And will they put me in danger? Nothing illegal, I said. As for danger, well, you're an adventurer. As for danger, you're an adventurer. As for danger, you're an adventurer. We're always in danger. She nodded slowly. I'm fine with secrets. Everyone has them, including me. Good, I said, relieved at not having to kick her out of the party before she'd even have a chance. I said, relieved at not having to kick her out of the party before she'd even have the chance to become one of us. Now, let's talk strategy for the hunt. Knut grinned broadly, slapping his chest plate. Blate? Knut grinned broadly, slapping his Knut grinned broadly, slapping his chest plate. Most handsome, draw attention. Make rock puppies angry. They bite Knut, break teeth on new armor. You slay. Nabia laughed, some of the tension leaving. Oh, I'd like to see that, she said, clapping Knut on his back. Today's about getting used to hunting as a group of 4, I said. We've done the dungeon run, but this is different. Everyone nodded in agreement. Nabia, what size is your storage? 10 slots, she replied. Erin's eyes lit up. Then we have space for nearly 50 carcasses between us. Brilliant.
I want bigger foes. I want bigger foes. I want bigger foes.
Rock grumbled.
These shard things are beneath us now.
If you want bigger foes, then help show how simple these easy foes are. Then we kill bigger ones. Besides, glory doesn't help us grow powerful. Carcasses and gems do.
Grumble. Grumble.
I chuckled and spun him in my hands. I chuckled and spun him in my hands. I chuckled and spun him in my hands. Ooh, chapter break. Chapter break. Body break. Oh, whoops. Come on. Ooh. The ironclad ravine lay below us, stretching left to right, its walls of striated stone shot through with metallic quartz veins. The ground was littered with razor-sharp stone fragments, and the air carried a distinct mineral scent, almost like blood mixed with rust. We paused at the edge and looked out at the area before us. "I look forward to scorching things," Nabia said, twirling her staff and nearly dropping it. Nabia said, twirling her staff and nearly dropping it. Again. "This almost reminds me of home, if it wasn't so wet here and there's no sand." Aaron pointed to fresh paw marks along the bottom. "Those look recent. A large packet seems. Usually they don't move around much. Weird." I scrambled down with Canute and examined the tracks in the dusty ground. "Looks to be at least 8, maybe more." Canute stood with hands on hips and inhaled deeply. Oops. Canute stood with hands on hips and inhaled deeply, his nostrils flaring. "Smell them. Stone and the blood." Oh, I think that's supposed to be ash. "Looks to be at least 8. Looks to be at least 8, maybe more. Looks to be at least 8. Looks to be at least 8, maybe more." "Smell them. Stone and the blood." "Monster crap," Aaron called down from behind us. Nabia laughed and I grinned at Canute. "Go ahead and get aggressive. Let's see what you can draw out." Canute nodded eagerly and strode down the ravine, following the prince. Banging his mace against the shield Pa had lent him while he worked on a proper one. "Rock, puppies!" he bellowed. "Come out! Uncle Knut is here to bash skulls!" Ah. "Is he always like this?" Nabia asked Aaron, and I looked up. Exchanging a glance with my girlfriend before bursting out laughing. "Always," she said, taking an arrow from her quiver. Nabia joined me in the ravine, trailing several steps behind me as I followed Canute. Aaron moved along the ledge, making sure to keep up. Howling and growls interrupted Canute's call for battle, and 8 shardfangs appeared from under a ridge, picking up speed and full-on running to get us. picking up speed and full-on running to get to us. They were wolf-sized creatures with thick, nearly rock-tough hide that bled into the stone of the ravine, and heads dominated by massive jaws lined with translucent quartz teeth.
Puppies!
Canute shouted in joy and charged them. Nibia touched my shoulder, muttering an incantation, and Rock's head lit up with flame as her spell enhanced my weapon. Nibia touched my shoulder, muttering an incantation, and Rock's head lit up with flame as her spell enhanced my weapon. I whooped and ran after Canute, not wanting to let him steal all my experience. An arrow whistled past overhead, striking a Shardfang in the face and killing it. Canute met the 7 remaining Shardfangs, smashing into the pack, his shield catching the first monster mid-leap and sending it flying. The creatures smashed into him, 3 of them just bouncing off and whining like dogs while the others slowed and surrounded him. They slashed at him, but Canute danced between them, blocking his shield and swiping with his mace. The claws and teeth that did manage to get through simply slid off his armor. His heavy armor.
Come, puppies!
Canute laughed, taunting them.
Bite harder! Break teeth!
Nibia cast a fireball at one Shardfang, knocking it sideways, but it got back up, singed, but largely unhurt, and she cursed. They must have decent fire resistance, which was a terrible setup for someone who relied on fire magic.
Feed me!
Rock said, but somehow his spirit didn't.
Feed me!
Rock said, but somehow his spirit didn't seem in it. I caught up with Canute, swinging Rock in precise strikes, each one connected with devastating force, killing Shardfangs as if they were real puppies. What do you feel? Is it different than before? Nibia cast another fire spell, and flames engulfed a Shardfang's body. It yelped and started thrashing on the ground, this time burning from the inside out.
It still tastes sweet,
Rock replied.
But weird. Still stuck.
Nibia fit in well with our normal rhythm. Canute held their attention, and then I danced around them, delivering killing blows, while Nibia and Aaron picked off single targets from a safe distance. The mage kept her space and stayed halfway between us and Aaron, close to the ravine wall. The sound of more Shardfangs making their way across. The sound of more Shardfangs making their way toward us picked up, and screeches and scraping claws echoed from 2 directions. More incoming! Aaron shouted down from her perch. 2 groups! Two groups! 5 and 6 each! Nibia turned and ran to join Aaron, climbing up the ravine wall with great ease. I'll protect her, she called back. You 2 fight on! We need to get them all, I said to Canute, positioning myself back to back with him. They need to focus on us. Canute nodded grimly. I am Wall. Monsters break on me. The two new packs of Shardfangs surged in, and one of the monsters died instantly as it triggered a fire trap Nibia cast from beside Aaron. It was flung into the air by a pillar of flame, its limbs going limp and steam rising from its stone-like skin. The two girls worked in tandem, slaying several beasts as Aaron loosed arrows and The two girls worked in tandem, slaying several beasts as Aaron loosed arrows and Nibia cycled through immolation, fire trap, and fireballs. Knut and I fought back to back, our shields holding them off while our weapons did the heavy work. Worried about Rock's unusual quiet in the face of carnage, I chatted him up between my strikes. "Do you still feel nothing?"
It's like eating when you're full,
Rock replied, frustration evident in his voice.
I can feel the power, but it has nowhere to go, like when Knut drinks too much beer. It enters his mouth, he tastes it, but it just flows back out.
Maybe you need time to digest the power. Maybe you need time to digest the power you've gained. I killed another shard fang. Then it'll break through by itself?
I don't have a stomach, Ash!
Rock shouted, exasperated.
Ugh, it's an analogy!
I mentally shrugged and focused on the battle, striking down monster after monster as they threw themselves at us. Finally, the last of the shard fangs fell, and the ravine floor was littered with carcasses. Nabia sat down on the ledge. Panting heavily. "Is this how you always hunt? This is insane!" "Never this many at once," Erin replied, her bow lowered next to her. "Except once when Knut decided to experiment with fire and glow caps. Usually we have to search for smaller packs of shard fangs." Knut examined his armor, which was barely scratched.
"Daunting bring few, this many. Strange."
"It was surprisingly efficient, though," Nabia admitted, wiping at her sweaty brow. "In my previous party, we would have spent thrice as long to take down half as many. Shade Stealer knows it's less tricky, though." Before we could discuss further, the sound of even more shard fangs rushing through the ravine echoed off the walls. 7 more came sprinting over the ledge, nearly tumbling down the steep bank as they tried to get to us first. Oh, chapter break. Another longer chapter, I think. What are we at? So this is 21 minutes. Let's see here. Okay, almost done here. This is the last chapter, everybody, that I'm going to be recording for these cold reads. So thank you so much for watching. I'm not done yet. I got a little bit more to do, but just so you know, so you're not... it's not so jarring when I rap at the end of this chapter. Okay. A long while later, we stood amidst the wreckage of our extended battle. The ravine floor was a scene of carnage, with over 60 shardfang carcasses scattered across the stone. Even with my higher-than-usual stats, I was breathing heavily, and Knut and I were stained with dust and monster ichor. "It's like the entire population of the ravine just threw themselves at us," Erin said, shaking her head in disbelief as she walked among the slain. "Not that I mind. It was good practice and all."
"Insane. Crazy monsters," Knut said. "Like rabid dogs."
"This isn't hunting, it's
massacre,"
Nabia said, yawning where she sat on the ground, legs crossed, trying to meditate and get her heart rate down enough to start the mana regeneration. "Something's driving them. That can be the only reason." You mean the hive mind?" I suggested. "Think this is its response for us smashing its home? Think this is its response to us smashing its home? If it is, then it's not as smart as we feared," Erin said, gesturing at the piles of dead monsters. "This isn't doing anything but filling our storages, no matter how freaky the numbers are." Knut examined his armor, pointing to spots that were barely scratched.
"Test for pause work. Armor hold."
Good job, Pa. Suddenly, Rock shrieked in delight, and I jerked as his... Suddenly, Rock shrieked in delight, and I jerked as his metal... Suddenly, Rock shrieked in delight, and I jerked as his mental voice boomed in my head.
It's here! It's here! It's here!
A surge of fear ran through me as I processed his words. It? The hive mind? What's here? What's wrong?
If anything can get me my breakthrough, it's this!
Rock exclaimed, exultant.
I can feel it!
What in the dried well is that? Nabiya said. I turned to follow where she was looking and felt the corners of my lips rise. All right, there we go. That is the end of Chapter 3 and of this cold read. Thank you, everybody, for checking this out. This has been the Riftside 2 cold read. Riftside 2, of course, from the Riftside series by Henrik Sader and Cassius Lang. Thank you very much for joining me. My name is Justin Thomas James with Sound Booth Theater, of course. If you have enjoyed this, if you are looking to experience more of this story, definitely check out Riftside 1 if you haven't already. It's available on Audible. But also, head to the Discord. Join us in the Discord. I'm going to be narrating more of this, and you'll be able to get the behind the scenes, and it's a bit more conversational in Discord. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this and you want to check out the series. It's enough to give you an idea of what this is about. And yeah, I'm really excited to get into book 2 and find out what is happening with this whole hive mind situation. What's going on? And Rock and his not being able to advance. Bit of a mystery. So thank you guys once again. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. It's freaking Monday. God, I hope you have a fantastic week. I need a coffee, so I'm going to go do that. But thank you. When am I going to do the rest of this book? I'll be narrating it tomorrow through the rest of this week. Next week, you just got to join the Discord, and that's where you'll find me. All right. Well, that is all, folks. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.